How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled, and today we're going to be taking a look at some secrets and Easter eggs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that you may not know about. So let's get started. Now, the first Easter egg is actually a reference to Albert Einstein, the theoretical physicist, and this can actually be found in the, Naranja or Uva Academy. If you go inside and go to the second floor, you will find a statue. Now, this statue, interestingly enough, is oddly similar to the real-world Albert Einstein. They're very similar in design, as you may notice. Now, I could be off on this, but I do think that they are related. And in this same library, there's actually a reference to Kanto and the Pewter City Gym, specifically Pewter Crunchies, which is some kind of food that's a signature one of Pewter City. So a nice little Kanto reference as well in the same library. Now, one of the coolest Easter eggs that we found is actually when you go to the Psychic type gym. Now, on the literal arena where the Psychic type gym takes place, there are literal references to Generation 1, specifically the sprites of all the different Pokemon, or a lot of the different Pokemon from Generation 1. You can see them all here. These are actually, I think, the party sprites. These are the sprites that you would see in your party when you're looking over your team, whether it be like if you had a Charizard or you had a Nidoking or whatever, it's all sort of here. So if you had a grass type, it would kind of look like a little bit like the flowers from Mario. And if you had like, a Charizard or a Rhyhorn, whatever, they would all kind of have this similar sort of sprite in the menu when you would be looking at them in your team party. So yes, these are all referenced on the walls and on the ground on the gym itself. This is actually one of the coolest Easter eggs they've added in, and I freaking love it. When you're at your hometown, you will run into a man who will tell you about how amazing technology is. Now, this is a reference to this same character who's been in Pokemon from the beginning. This character has been there throughout all the way until this point, and it's a reference to this NPC once again. You also get gifted a Galarian Meowth by one of the teachers. So yes, if you want to get a free Meowth, you simply talk to the teacher and you'll be given a free Galarian Meowth, which is a cool callback and also an easy way to get a free Galarian Meowth. Now, once you are in the first town of the game, you will run into what seems to be a reference to the Pelipper Postman from the Mystery Dungeon side game series of Pokemon. So this is all in the first town, and it's a direct reference for those who do remember, who have played Mystery Dungeon. This is a direct reference to that. Now, if you actually read the books in the Academy, in the library, there are a few of them that reference a lot of different stuff. One of them actually references the wall that was broken by Copperaja in Sword and Shield story, because Pokemon, Scarlet and Violet actually take place after them. So they technically take place in the timeline of Pokemon after Sword and Shield. So now the Copperaja moment has actually gone down in history. And also there are references to the Diamond and Pearl clans from Legends Arceus also present inside of this game, inside of these books. And also, if you guys talk to the, Nurse Joy at the Pokemon Centers, you'll be able to enter in your birthday. Now, if you do this, guess what? You will get a special thingy happening on your birthday in the game. So yes, if you head over here, you get a little celebration for it being your birthday at the Pokemon Center. So yeah, these are always in the Pokemon games. They've been in now for a long time. I think since Generation 4, possibly. Could be a bit wrong about that, but I think since Gen 4, they have been present. And yeah, guess what? Get a little bit of a celebration. Now, if you actually capture yourself the Paradox Salamence, like the brand new one, if you capture it, it actually has a reference to Mega Salamence in its Dex entry in the Violet and Scarlet Pokedexes. So it is kind of interesting that that's in there. But yeah, there's a literal reference to Mega Salamence, which is from Generation 6. But yeah, it kind of mentions that it has a similar resemblance to a Pokemon from a different region that, kind of transforms in a certain way. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that that's how they refer to it. If you head to the infirmary, there's actually a direct reference, an Easter egg to Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee with the dolls that reference it inside of the infirmary itself. Now, in one of the first houses of the actual game, you will find an Ash Greninja picture that is being referenced right there, right now. And it's pretty freaking cool that that's in there. I love it whenever Ash is present in the Pokemon games, especially in a situation like this. Now, if you have a save file of either Let's Go Pikachu or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl or Legends Arceus or even Sword and Shield on your console, you can be given a different phone case for your Rotom phone. If you have any of these save files, you can talk to a girl and she will basically give you one of these in the game, which is pretty awesome. There is a hidden giant egg that's mentioned in this game. Now, this giant egg seems to possibly be the third legendary, and it's being referenced a lot throughout the game, but also it's been found in the hidden files of the game. So yeah, this third legendary seemingly is the one who created the terrestrializing, as well as, well, acts as the source of terrestrializing, and I guess we'll get an answer to what it is in a future DLC. Now, if you go to language class, you will specifically find a picture of Sun and Moon's altar. Yes, the Sun and Moon altar will be seen during language class, which calls back to Generation 7. Now, another one of the things that exists in the game is actually the Marvels of Paldea. These are kind of similar to our real world equivalent of like the World Wonders, whatever, like the 8 Wonders of the World. I'm not really sure exactly what they're called, but it's kind of similar to that. One of these can actually be these waterfalls that you can find in this zone, and there's loads of them around the map still, so go around and look for all of them. You will also find a girl in this cafeteria who's going to be talking about curry, specifically curry from another region, where she is referencing the Galar region, as we had curries there, and of course we have sandwiches now in Paldea. But yeah, a nice little callback to the Galar region. During history class in the academy, you will actually be able to see a picture of, well, the professor from Pokemon Legends Arceus, and also the first ever Pokeball on a picture in history class. So if you're in there, you're going to be able to see the references directly to Pokemon Legends Arceus. Finally, we have the Legendary Quartet. Now, the Legendary Quartet is basically 4 brand new legendary Pokemon that are based on Chinese legend, and this is specifically what they're all based on if we go from the top. First of all, if you don't know the Chinese name, one of them is called Ting Lu, and 3 of these are basically the same names that they have in the ancient China. Well, Ting Lu, or Ting, is specifically a kind of cauldron in ancient China that looks just like this thingy right here in terms of design, and Lu also means deer, which you can see in Ting Lu's design. Then you have Qian Pao, which Qian means sword and Pao means leopard, so sword leopard, which is exactly what you see with the Qian Pao design. And then we also have Wu Qian, which Wu means snail, and Qian is in this case specifically going to be related to bamboo slips, which are linked together. And usually, when you pair these together, it would be looking something like this. So yeah, the grass typing sort of comes in from this aspect. And then we have Qiyu, which is pretty tricky, but it's not the same as its Chinese name. Basically, it could be a sort of pun or joke between, well, this letter right here, which is Strange Jade, which is around its eyes in this fish design, and the fish word as well in there. So yeah, a lot of these are seemingly based on Chinese antiquities, and a lot of like Chinese antiques do have a sort of animal design in them. So this is exactly or likely what is being based on right here. So similar objects also do exist in the Chinese museum. So yeah, definitely some cool and interesting subjects to mention right here. And shout out to Pokemon for including some really intriguing history. And of course, I can't forget what happens if you complete your Pokedex. Now, this game actually features almost like a battle pass for your Pokedex, where you get items the more you complete it. And then if you go and talk to Mr. Jacques, once you've completed the whole thing in the biology lab, he will reward you with a shiny charm. So yes, the shiny charm is back, but this time around, it's no longer Masuda or a game director that gives it to you. Instead, it's Mr. Jacques. So we are done with that era of Pokemon where it's given to you by a game director in the game, but still cool though. Now, if you head to Penny's room, you will actually find a GameCube and Game Boy magazine in the room, which also makes sense as Penny is somewhat of a tech-savvy person, very good with machines and computers, so it makes sense that they would be, the Penny would be into some stuff like old-school game consoles, especially something as great as the Game Boy and the GameCube. But yes, a direct reference to those 2 consoles. But that's not all. The last 2 things we have to mention is that there is a Suicune and Virizion ancient and future form, or ancient future versions or paradox Pokemon that have actually been confirmed through data mine. So now we know that they do exist, but that's not all. We also found in the data mine 2 specific items that are going to be related possibly to these 2 Pokemon. So we'll have to wait and see, as leakers and people have been talking about a DLC being confirmed for next year, more or less, and that it's going to have something to do with the color orange. So we're going to have to see what that's going to be all about. But those are the Easter eggs and secrets that we have for now. If there are any more discovered, I'll make a follow-up video, a part 2, so to say. But thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and bye-bye.